something out of order.
You guys are muted now.
Yeah, we have no audio.
What happened there?
There we go.
Good now.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you turn them up a smidge too?
Okay, so, Lauren, go ahead and explain to us what we're slowly going up, please.
So this evening we are voting on, the contract for the TPW union. And also the non-union wage scale. So we have the next 3 years, fiscal year 26, 27, and 28. The wage scales are based off of what the municipal union had negotiated, so a 2% COLA for fiscal year 26. In fiscal year 27, a 2% COLA. And in fiscal year 28, a 3% COLA.
You. Anybody have any questions or concerns?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Molly, second by David. Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote, Phil,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
and Parsons.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Lauren, thank you very much. The home early. Thanks,
Thanks, Laura.
Okay, next up is item on the consent agenda. On the consent agenda this evening, we have a cultural council appointment of Sarah Siegel,
Who's here in attendance?
who's here in attendance. Minutes from June 26, 2025. Intermunicipal agreement, Town of Hadley and City of Northampton, fiscal year 26, municipal hearing officer. Intermunicipal agreement, Town of Hadley and City of Northampton, fiscal year 26, sewer of weights and measures. Intermunicipal agreement, Town of Hadley and City of Northampton, fiscal year 26, veteran services. Hadley Historical Commission resignation of Diana West. Memorandum of agreement, Town of Hadley and Tapestry Health for fiscal year 26. Memorandum of agreement and Historical Commission appointment, Megan Leisner.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Molly, second by David, roll call vote, please.
Sorry.
Oh, that's my job. Phil,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
and Parsons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just before we move on, I'd like to thank Diana West for putting a number of years of service on the Hadley Historical Commission. And was, spearheading some great project work they've done over the past 7 years. So thank you, Diana, for all of your efforts in that regard.
And since we have Sarah Siegel here, if you wouldn't mind coming up and telling us about yourself a little bit. What you see and vision you're doing on the cultural council, please.
Sure. So I am a relatively recent transplant to the Valley, kind of off and on since 2020. My partner and I bought a house in Hadley May of 2024. So we've been here just about a year. We were living in Northampton before then, and I was on the cultural council and then had to leave because I became a Hadley resident. So my background is primarily in arts, nonprofit administration. I've worked throughout Massachusetts. I worked at an organization called the Mass Poetry, which is statewide, based in Boston. Snow Farm in Williamsburg. I'm currently doing part-time work with Bombyx Center for Arts and Equity in Florence. And just very interested in arts admin, programming, events, and is this too far? And so excited to be in Hadley and looking to get involved in arts cultural council here.
Great, thank you very much for volunteering.
Yeah,
You've got a great time.
I think so.
All right, that's all we need from you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Item 4.1, public comments. Anybody here for public comment? Mr. Fighting, come up, please.
Thank you. I just want to bring up an issue that I've kind of been looking into and make a request that it's put on the agenda for public discussion, since I know that issues that are brought up cannot immediately be discussed. Something that I've observed and something that I've heard a lot of people talk about is the quality of life, especially along Route 9 related to crime and the perception of safety in the town. It seems like basically because of issues that basically our select board has created. The situation, I think, is getting out of hand. So I started looking into it, and according to the crime stats of the state, crime is up in our town about 9% in the last few years. And we've always been high on property crimes, and there are reasons for that, I understand. But it seems like it's growing worse, just in the perception. And so I started looking further into it, and I noticed that generally we have as far as the number of arrests, we'll have 250, 270, as high as getting up to 300. In 2024, we had 78 arrests, according to the state and the FBI stats. That's a dramatic drop in the number of arrests in 1 year. And I looked further into it, and as far as I can tell, that's the fewest number of arrests we've had this century, basically. It's never been even under 100 since 2001, as far as I could see. I'm sure there are reasons for this, but I'm concerned about what's happening with crime. Because basically we have a situation where crime is going up and arrests are going down. And I just want to understand that better. I think we've invested in our police department. We have more full-time police officers than ever. I don't think it's a policing problem, to be honest with you. I think it's a situation that we've created where our police are doing other things, trying to control a situation that they didn't create, between this kind of corridor of chaos with the Econo Lodge, the Knights Inn, and the Howard Johnsons, which takes a huge amount of time. And so I think it's something that I'm interested in. I hear from other people that are interested in, and I'm sure that the chief would like an opportunity to discuss this with the town in a public way, rather than just me asking a question. So if you're open to that, I'd like to see that put on the agenda. Thank you.
Figure out a way to put. Item on the agenda, if we address that. So we can work on that and come up with something that is a reasonable thing to discuss.
Right. Thanks, John.
Okay, item 5.1, ADU compliance with water and sewer. Select board will review the ADU compliance as it relates to sewer and water. And Mr. McCarthy.
After the last meeting, we discussed the water and sewer regulations, and I drafted up some ADU water and sewer guidelines, what I think is appropriate, but I don't know if you had a chance to look at that or not, and
Yeah,
what you think.
I saw it. I think that it probably, like we do typically, is have a chance to look at it further, just, have some time to spend with it, and then we can come back at our next meeting and hopefully finalize it. Is there an urgency to get it done?
I know those couple people are waiting for building permits that were here on the audience last time.
Okay, so isn't there a foundation up on one of them?
I don't know if permits have been issued on that or not.
Okay, but all right, well, they seem to understand what's going on, and anyhow, I don't think, I don't know if I know I saw your
proposal, but I don't see it here. I see the old stuff here. On board docs.
I sent it, Randy, I might have sent it through an email to you.
Okay. All right, so if you could send it to everybody, and then we can all have time to hash it out, and then at our next meeting, we can vote on it. Please.
Yeah, I think we can prioritize it for the next meeting for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
We don't want to, unnecessarily hold them up, but we want to make sure we know what we're voting on. And Scott, just, 'cause I haven't seen that email, you were going to take, David Phil's suggestion into kind of under advisement and work to change the language.
Yes, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
I, after our last discussion, with using one water line and one, resisting water and existing sewer, I kind of drafted up something that I thought would be appropriate for the situation. That, to be adopted by the board if they approve of it or not, or want to change something or not.
Yeah, that sounds, I mean, I looked at it, it's the content is good. I just didn't like the way it was formatted so much. So we'll work on that and get it to a point where everybody can be.
Yeah, I kind of just sent out a draft.
Yeah,
to you
right. Yeah.
For you to
Yeah, no, I understand.
poke at and.
Yeah, no, I wasn't expecting it to be perfect.
Yeah.
So we'll take that and doctor it up a little bit, and then we'll be able to vote on it. All right. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay, where are we? Da-da-da-da-da.
Ready?
Item 5.2, select board policies and index. And Rita is going to tell us about all the hard work she's finished up before she leaves
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's my last day.
This is a sad day.
So there are 4 policies that have been revised since we last spoke. The administrative, they're all listed in the spreadsheet in board docs. First is the administrative policy manual. The changes that I made where I changed the language to call for an online repository rather than a physical repository, as the new website page will be the new repository for that. And I included a description of what's included in the online repository. The applications for vacancies on boards, commissions, and committees policy has been updated with the language change to account for the requirement for reappointments and appointments to fill out forms rather than just submit a statement. And then I also included the form in that policy document. The request for legal services policy has been updated. I changed language to approval by town administrator rather than select board for legal services. I removed the reference to the request for legal services form, as that is no longer in use. I included availability of web accessible materials rather than just physical materials, included links to online legal resources to replace physical resources, updated state contacts and added primary functions, and I removed the outdated form. Then the remote participation policy, I changed the language to align with section 20 of chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, chapter 20 of the Acts of 2025, both of which extended the ability for remote participation and a quorum to not be physically present. And I included the date of policy expiration as per chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025. So those are the revised policies. And then the policies to revoke, they all were outlined in the memo from last time with the addition of the photocopy charges policy, which was added because the process and monetary amounts were outdated, as well as the duties and procedures for handling dog complaints policy, as that process is outdated and it's also codified elsewhere, so it's just redundant. And then the connection to waterline policy, we're adding it to the DPW regulations instead. So that's being removed as a select board policy. Those are my
Very
updates.
nice.
Thank you.
If you get to Arizona and you get homesick, feel free to come back.
Sounds good.
Also in there, you'll notice that you have a water and sewer rate hearing policy. I'm asking you to consider this your first reading of that policy. This was something that y'all asked to have put in place for the for the future going forward after your water rate hearing.
Right.
It has the DPW and the collector's office turning information over in February, y'all reviewing in March so that you're not up against the deadline again. So this would give y'all adequate time. So I'd ask you to consider this your first read and to consider adopting at your next meeting.
Okay. Sounds good. I mean, I've looked at it. It looks good to me, but.
Okay, so do we need a motion to approve?
Yes,
Right.
a motion to approve and then to revoke the others.
Yep, okay, so I will make a motion that we approve the changes to the select board policies as recommended by Rita Hackett and also the revocations.
Second.
She can't help it.
Motion by Molly, second by Amy, who is not supposed to be doing that. Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote. Bill,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes,
Isaac,
Yes,
and Parsons.
Yes.
and before Rita goes, can we just express appreciation? I think, you know, from our perspective, the quality and impact, you know, meaningfulness of the work that you did. It's been a huge help to the town. These are a lot of things you can see that they kind of just fall on the back burner and then we never really get to them. So, you know, as Randy said, we welcome you back anytime and wish you really well at Arizona State.
Thank you.
yes, I don't think we can thank you enough for what you've done, Rita.
Thank you. I've really appreciated my time here and all the work that I've done. This has been one of my favorite experiences in terms of work in my life thus far. So
That's great.
I
Glad to
really
hear
liked
it.
it. Yeah.
All right, thank you again and again. All right. Item 5.3, board and committee reappointments fiscal year 26. The board will vote to renew appointments for board and committees for fiscal year 26. Jennifer, tell us about this
Well,
wonderful
actually,
document.
Rita did all of the work on this for this year. So again, thanks to Rita on that one as well. It's really been great to have her working on it. So we're going to ask that you appoint all of the people listed in the dark blue stated as seeking reappointment. I can read them off. It is a much shorter list than it was before. But these are all reappointment requests that have come in since your last meeting.
I think it might be good to read them just so people know
Absolutely.
what's out there.
So for Agricultural Commission, we're asking for you to reappoint Gordon Cook Jr., Will Handrick, and Adam Goodman for a 3-year term. For capital planning, this isn't actually an appointment. That's just to notify y'all. Chris Pipchinsky and William Bannock will be the new representatives for the school committee and board of assessors. For CDEI, reappointing Joanne Godding, Megan Raylan, Crystal Jackson, and Patricia Rissmeyer for a 1-year term. For the CPA, Sharon Parsons will be the new historical commission representative. And then for PVPC, Mark Dunn appointed as the alternate for that position. And then for the PVPC JTC, which is a Joint Transportation Committee, Scott McCarthy is the new member with Jim Maxmosky as the alternate. And that is all of the appointments for this evening.
Great.
Okay, I'll
Thank
make a
you for
motion
that.
to approve the recommended appointments.
I'll second that.
Motion by Molly, second by David. Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote, Phil,
Yes, with the exception of Jim Maximowski, because I have a conflict there. So.
Keegan,
Yes.
Isaac.
Yes.
And Parsons.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. We did 5.4, moving on to new business, item 6.1. Moody Bridge Road, the select board will discuss Moody Bridge Road, including repairs and updates from Scott McCarthy.
Just to tee this up for Scott, he'll get into the details of what the repairs were, but if you recall, probably the last meeting or potentially 2 meetings ago, I had this on my town administrator report because I had been getting questions. I got a few questions about reopening the road since we made the repairs. And I think some of the confusion from some members of the public was that we were making the repairs specifically to reopen the road. And the issues are not one and the same. Ultimately, we made the repairs because we had a crevice forming in the roadway, which is a liability to the town. And a lot of people walk out there. And the last thing we needed was someone, falling into the crevasse. So they're not really the same issue. And so at this point, Scott can tell you all the work that he and the guys did in that repair. But ultimately, this is on here just to maybe get a first blush from the select board. Certainly, you don't have to make any decisions tonight as to the palatability of discussing reopening the road and to maybe get a recommendation from Scott as far as cost of doing so, because there's going to need to be a lot of work done to rehab the road to get it back open again.
So can I just ask for clarification? Are you saying that for the folks who've reached out to you inquiring about the road, are they requesting that the road be open? Because I'll be honest,
At least one of them wanted to know why we did the repairs and why the road wasn't open already.
Okay.
And so I tried to make it clear that the repairs and the opening of the road are two separate issues. The repairs had to be done regardless before somebody got hurt. But there was at least a suggestion within the question that they wanted to see the road reopened.
did they give a why?
No.
Dave's, sorry.
David?
I'll let Scott go and talk first, but whenever you're ready for me.
Okay. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, so just hit on what Mike said. I've had multiple phone calls at our office asking, if the road was gonna be reopened or not, whatever. And as Mike said, I guess the repair was to alleviate a risk to the town. The road was in very bad shape there, was getting worse. All the rain that we've been having just was making the washout a lot bigger. We tried multiple ways to sealing it off and nothing worked. So, obviously we put a new culvert pipe in there to alleviate the risk of somebody getting hurt there. The road has been driven on, and couldn't even tell you how many years since I've been here plus. And it's, obviously not in the greatest shape anymore. It's very narrow. There's a lot of brush now that's grown in and trees, etc., that would have to be addressed. I noticed a lot of water bleeding out of the gravel and stuff that would have to be addressed before you could make it passable again to motorists. I just personally don't think it may not be the best decision to reopen that. We did go down there and do a little roadside mowing now that we could get through and, keep the brush at bay, etc. But it would need substantial work to make it really a throughway again.
David, did you want to talk?
Yes, please. I would just say that I think it's been 7 or 8 years now that the road has been closed, because I think it was when I first got on the select board 7 or 8 years ago. At the time, we were told by residents that police and fire and medical response times would suffer, and all kinds of horror stories. And what we found is that's not actually the case. In fact, I'm sure the chief can attest to, police and fire going down there on that pretty rough road actually kind of slows you down versus going around. Also, the roadway has been turned into kind of one of the better walking nature trail areas in town. And we've sorted out the problem with farmer access to the fields over the years. And I think that works pretty well with them having keys to the gate. And I just, other than serving as a cut through for people that don't even live in town for the most part, I think it doesn't make any sense to reopen the road. Keep it as is, with bare minimum maintenance, so that way it can still serve as a trail And so farmers can get to their fields, but other than that, I think it should be kept closed.
Thank you, Amy.
So I'm kind of the opposite of David on this one. I've had a lot of people message me personally and drive to my farm personally and talk to me about this being a public road and that it should be opened back up as the public road that it is indeed classified as. So I don't know if it's something that maybe we want to reclassify, but that's kind of the main argument. I also know that farmers still do because they have the access to go over that. But I just wanted to be the mouthpiece for people that are saying that it is a claimed town road, that it should be open. I don't have personal feelings either way. I'm just the mouthpiece.
Are the people that are talking to you, Amy, farmers or non-farmers or both?
Both.
Majority, one side or the other?
It's kind of 50-50.
Okay, thank you. Molly?
I'll echo what David said in terms of the history on this, that the concern that was expressed at the time had to do with public safety. I'm fairly certain that we've had conversations with both chiefs since then while the road was closed. If anything, to Scott's point, I would think that the fire chief would be concerned about the apparatus even being able to safely traverse that area given the road conditions, which says to me that if we wanted to reopen it in a public way, that there's a fair amount of work that would need to be put into it to make it safe to travel. I know there were several residents on Modi Bridge who have said that they hope that it stays the way it is, that it remains closed, that they appreciate the fact that it's just the one way in and one way out. And I just think in terms of the limited resources we have for road work, that would not remotely be a priority to me to put money into that when we're looking at, Rocky Hill and some residential streets that are in disrepair. So I appreciate the feedback Amy's getting, but I think it's in the town's best interest not to reopen that as a public way.
Yeah, and I think something that's really important for people to know is that the repair that was done is not suitable for vehicular traffic. It was suitable to keep people from falling into the brook. So if we were to decide to reopen the road, everything that's been done would have to get torn out and start all over again. And I agree with what Molly just said. It's going to cost a lot of money and we've got other more important priorities. The road has been this way for 7 or 8 years and the town hasn't fallen apart because of it. So I think that it's best to leave it as is.
Could we reclassify it then?
Yeah, could we look, maybe Amy, it would be worth asking Mike to have somebody look into, what the options are in terms of reclassification, or if there's really a need to. So that you have an answer for folks that have raised that issue.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, I mean, we could discontinue it, but I don't know if I think what you said makes sense. Find out if it's necessary. Because I mean, it's the town road that we decide what to do with it. So if reclassifying it makes it easier on some people, so be it, as long as it doesn't cost a bunch of money to do that.
Scott, I can only think of one road in town right now, just off the top of my head, that is kind of classified in that manner, and that's the kind of the end portion of Honey Pot.
Yeah.
Where it says basically town road ends. Do you still maintain, plow, grade any of that portion of the road?
All we do is plow past that just for public safety kind of things, but we do not do any road maintenance down there. We stop at the town line.
So I just think that if if we're gonna go down that road, we should consider the fact that as he stands, they don't do anything right now within that portion of the roadway on Moody Bridge. So if we did reclassify it, and even if we said, you know, town does not maintain this portion of the road, it would mean maintenance in the sense of grading and things like that. And we may be required at that point to plow for emergency vehicles and stuff, which is certainly gonna add to their workload. So just something to think about.
Sure, we just need to find out
Yeah,
what's appropriate.
I would just like to add, that is an inventory road and we do get a little bit of money for that, not much, but
Okay,
you know, every penny adds up, I guess. And
true.
like I said, we did go down there and mow the brush back and it's passable. I've talked to Chief Spignall about this. If he had to go through there for emergency, it is ready and able for him to do so. Well, you know, long term, will that culvert pipe hold the fire truck? I'm not an engineer, but to go over it in a case of emergency, I would think it would be just fine.
As long as they go fast.
They go fast.
Right.
But yeah, you know.
And I'm assuming an emergency, a one-off meeting, there's some particular reason why there is an event there.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, like as you're. When a couple of those big pine trees blew over there and the road was blocked and Eversource kind of like had an issue going in there along with the fire department. For something like that, at least there's an alternate access in there.
Right.
I mean, in the winter time, you know, after a snowstorm, it wouldn't be a big deal for us to go down there and plow it off and just, so that way it's just open for emergency personnel to go through there. I've been told by the crew that that road when it was open was a maintenance nightmare in the winter. So, I mean, obviously there's some factors involved with opening it, but, you know, Chief Spignall did ask that, you know, it was kind of maintained enough for him to get through there in an emergency.
I think the only thing that I would ask is that if there's some type of dollar figure that we could put on the road to make it back to how it was in the early 2000s, what that would look like, and maybe that would assuage people from saying it's a town road and it needs to be a town road and it needs to be maintained that way.
That's something you can put together that don't spend a ton of time doing it. Just
Yeah.
rudimentary numbers. Could you do something like that?
Yeah, I could come up
Okay.
with something, I guess, yeah.
Then why don't you do that, please?
Personally, I wouldn't make it a top priority.
Right,
You could put it on the list.
yeah.
If I had to guess, I bet you're talking $50,000. By the time you get tree work done, pruning, gravel the road, you know, there's a couple of spots that probably should be widened out of here.
But plus that culvert, I wouldn't trust
Yeah,
that culvert.
Plus the culvert, I mean,
That's
you know, backing up on this, the culvert situation, we did have that flap grant that prior directors applied for, we got. It kind of sat idle for a long time. And we figured out how to get it back going again. And there is a partial design to put a culvert in there. It's actually a bridge, and we consider a small bridge, it's over 10 foot. And when we did this culvert pipe, we actually gave the grant back because I talked to Mike about this. And I don't know, maybe Mike knows the figure, the in-kind to get this to the neck to 100% drawing to try to even go further was pretty substantial money.
Yeah.
I think it was close to like $500,000. So
It's the same roadblock for all grant. all
Right, so I mean, to me, that means we're talking at least $1 million.
Yeah.
For the bridge, and then all the other stuff you're talking about, so this is a couple $1 million easily. So, you know, in terms of that, that's a definite no, in my opinion.
So we don't need any vote on this, do we?
Can I just,
No.
just to keep in mind, when you're talking about Moody Bridge Road, talk about declassifying it, or reclassifying it, you're talking about a small portion of the road is not actively used, but there are residents.
No,
all
we're
down
talking about
that one
section from-
section.
Yeah.
But if you're, I mean, that would be like, you'd have to have a dead end then. And that's why I just wanted to make sure everybody was thinking about
Yep.
when you're taking a road off the books, there's actually residents on it.
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking about the whole road,
Don't forget the residents.
just the portion that is the problem.
Just for the record, when we were doing this project, I did reach out to Silvio Conte multiple times because they have such a big use of that road and the property about possibly helping us out with any kind of repairs. You know, if they had any money available that we could put towards a project, and of course, their answer was no.
Mhm.
So I did ask them to potentially support us, the town, you know, seeing that, you know, they really utilize that road.
Mhm.
They had no interest.
Okay, so,
Well, now's probably not the best time to be asking.
Yeah, but it was gone.
Yeah.
You know, we had multiple conversations with them, but
Yeah, no, I remember them coming in.
so I don't know, I mean, I'm happy keeping things the way status quo down there, and I don't know if we need to go any further with it
Can I,
at another time.
oh, I was gonna say I'm willing to make a motion if you'd like one, otherwise we can just move on.
Okay, so you're gonna make a motion for what, David?
I was gonna make a motion that we keep Moody Bridge Road, the dirt portion of Moody Bridge Road, closed with the exception of minimal maintenance for emergency access or for maintaining the walking ability of the road area for recreational purposes.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by David, second by Molly. Roll call vote,
Roll call vote, Phil,
Yes.
Keegan.
Yes.
Isaac.
yes,
And Parsons.
Yes.
okay,
Thanks, Scott.
thanks, Scott. Are we over item 6.2?
Yes, I'm asking you to pass that over this evening, and we'll bring it back at another joint meeting later with the Hadley Housing Authority.
Okay, and we will move on to item 6.3, water and sewer abatement request for 4 Kosher Drive. Scott, come on back.
If he's trying.
there was a water sewer abatement requested for Kozer Drive. I would suggest denying the abatement. So the meter doesn't read at 4 Kozer Drive. There was multiple attempts left, the contact cards, etc., to be able to get in there to read the meter. And currently the house is unoccupied. But we did make it, you know, Kim's been estimating the bill because we can't read it. But I would like to suggest though, the resident, you know, pay the bill, you know, as presented, or allow the DPW change out the meter, get an accurate reading on the meter of what actually went through it. Not an estimate, bill accordingly, with the proper usage and all the fees, if the homeowner and the board would agree to that.
So,
Because right now the bill is based on an estimate, not an actual reading.
okay, so that you're, just so we all and people out on the YouTube understand, the water goes through the meter works, you just can't read it.
Yes, there's something wrong with the radio frequency or whatever. Could be a dead battery. Who knows? Just it's not transmitting a signal.
Okay. And so, but we've asked these people numerous times to allow the meter to get fixed, and they have denied or not,
Haven't responded.
they haven't responded. But now they're responding because they don't want to pay the water bill.
Correct. And there's, you know, the fees are on this bill too, for when you voted that if you don't allow us to read the meter, it's a $50 per quarter fee and et cetera. There's, you know, things like that that go along with it.
Yeah, and can I just ask, because I remember that happening. And at the time, I thought that you, or it may even have been a predecessor, gave us, there, like there are X number of meters in town that are in this circumstance, right?
Yeah,
Is that inventory remain the same since the fee went in, or is it changed, or?
it's gone down, but there's still a handful that people just, don't want it. Or,
Don't want them on.
people question the radio frequency through the house and things along that nature, and just deny us access for whatever reason that may be. So there is still some out there that aren't radios that we, can't properly read.
Okay, but is it like less than 10 or less than 50?
I don't know the exact number, and I'm not sure if Kim is on to
Yes.
give you a little better number of that.
Kim, do you have a sense of that?
Yes, actually I do. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So currently there are 10 accounts, 10 meters that are being billed the non-compliance penalty for the inability to comply with the water and sewer regulations, which consists of the access portion, being able to go in and access the property, update the meter when necessary, when it becomes evident that there could be an issue. And in this case, the 10 accounts are for various reasons. There are a couple that during COVID, they were concerned about their health and they didn't want strangers. So they were compliant that they were okay with receiving the penalty because they would rather not have anyone access the property due to health concerns. A few of them are folks that either have some type of hoarding issue or inaccessibility for people to actually get into the house. And those people have also accepted the non-compliance penalty as part of. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. I am so sorry. That was so loud. So like I said, there's 10 accounts that are receiving the non-compliance. I typically, how I base my estimate is I typically take the same cycle for the previous 3 years and I do an average of that usage, and that's how I come up with the estimate as far as the usage is concerned. I'm not, I don't investigate as far as if a property is vacant, occupied, how many people are living there. It's just the standard form of estimation used for all 10 properties.
Kim, so if, say, one of these properties you've estimated for the last, I don't know, 3 years, and they go to sell the property and they have to have that final meter reading. If we had underestimated for the last 3 or 4 years and get an actual meter reading when the property changes hands, we bill for the difference, right, between the estimate and the actual?
Yes, we absolutely would. Yes.
All right, cool.
And based on reading the information we have, listening to Scott and Kim, I don't feel like these people are going to respond if we say to them, let us read the meter and adjust your bill accordingly. So I just say we deny this, and
Is that a motion?
certainly.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Motion by me, second by Molly, roll call vote.
Roll call vote, Phil,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
and Parsons.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Kim.
everyone.
Okay,
Thanks, Scott.
thank you, Scott.
I think we're
We're,
all
we got,
done with Scott, finally.
I think so. Scott can go home if he wants. I know he likes us,
You
but
like sick, you like hanging out.
yeah.
As he shoves his things in his pocket.
Good night, Scott. Thank
Scott.
you. Okay, item 6.4, Hazard Mitigation Plan Update Committee Appointment. So,
So can I, Mike's not here.
No.
This didn't make any sense to me, so can you explain?
So the hazard mitigation plan has to be updated. and it's time for an update. Mike has asked the bylaw committee to fulfill this obligation for the town to redo the hazard mitigation plan update. Mike has, from my conversation with him, he has gone out and solicited with PVPC to do this. He received a grant to pay for it. And he's partnering with the PVPC. Y'all will be getting that contract at your next meeting for approval. And he's asking you to go ahead and appoint the committee to work on the mitigation plan with him.
And is that because the composition of this committee just happens to be a nice overlay for the
Yes.
people that he would, is that what it is?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yep. He felt it was a nice mix.
Yep.
And I think he already roped most of them into doing it anyway, so. There's ease of use and everything else.
I didn't feel any rope, but I will submit.
I didn't want to tell Scott before he walked out of the room, because I figured he would have stayed, fought it.
So I'll probably sound silly asking, but what hazards exactly are we mitigating? All hazards?
Well, I think that's a good question, David,
Yeah.
so people understand what this is all about.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I can tell you, David, that the last time this came up with me and Mike specifically was when we were discussing the levy situation. We're going to these kind of monthly meetings at our library. We're actually hosting them for flood mitigation and things like that. And a lot of the communities that are involved have a levy system. And so there's a heavy focus on levee repair and things like that. So they invited Mike and I to attend each one of these meetings, and that was the last time this hazard mitigation plan came up. It was one of the heavy focuses on part of the plan that he had been working on in past years. I can't go much further than that because I haven't actually seen the plan, but I know that those are the types of things which they're would be investigating.
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
motion by David, second by Molly. Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote, Phil,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Isaac.
Yes.
And Parsons.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Did 6.4. Item 7, select board members liaison reports. I know David told me he's going to have to remove himself from the school committee or the school committee liaison. So we're going to need somebody to fill his spot. Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to report? No.
Really? Yeah.
Okay. Then moving right along to the town administrator report. That you and the dog.
Yeah, it's so funny. All right, there's not a whole lot of updates here. Our open positions are the same. The BLS ambulance and fire, you all made a decision on how to proceed with that at the last meeting that we had, and we started today working on some projections on how to proceed with that situation. Town hall HVAC is complete. It's nice and cool in there now. That'll be able to come off for our next meeting. We had another meeting with legislators. I know I reported on it the last time, but it was the same day that we had the meeting. And since that time, we have received some grant suggestions from the state to kind of investigate. Unfortunately, as we all know, almost all of them require match funds. So we're going to have to, really kind of dig into it and see what we can do. Library roof, we met today with several internal folks and town council. We're working on some next steps, and ultimately what it comes down to is we really need to measure potential litigation costs and costs to repair the roof. We have Gail working on, Gail has just completed a report with kind of cost estimates and things like that. There are a lot of different factors involved in there, so we'll be looking a little bit deeper into that to get more details out. And once we have a good handle on it, we'll bring it in as an agenda item to really discuss. As far as the strategic planning things go, contracts are ratified, as you know, you've ratified all of them. New wages for your staff, all your employees went into effect yesterday. We, as I mentioned, we did meet internally today with a very small group to go over numbers for potential override and also how to remedy any overages and budget shortfalls we have for FY 26, which is we're currently in 2 days in. And from there, we will have a kind of an expanded finance team meeting where we'll invite likely the chairs and vice chairs of both FinCom and Select Board to really kind of dig deeper into this, and then we'll bring all of that back to back for a by-board meeting to kind of talk it through with everyone and see where we end up. The only other item I just want folks to be aware of, just so everyone is on the same page. You may see a few yard signs around town on possibly public property, mostly on private property, for Summer Night on the Commons event, which, as many of you know, had been an annual event for the last 3, 4, 5 years running.
Come back here, yep.
Multiple years. So I did, give permission for folks to put up a few signs to advertise it. It's been a great event for the town. Folks have really enjoyed going. So, but I wanted to make sure everybody was aware, just so. And I know yard signs are kind of a hot topic sometimes. Other than that, no other updates from me.
Sounds good. Thank you. Anybody have any announcements?
Condolences to you.
Yes, I have some condolences. Does anybody have anything other than that? All right, so we have condolences for 2 Hadley residents and 1 former Hadley resident. So the residents are Susan Dixon and Eileen Monopoly, and the former resident is currently known as Jody Devine. When she lived in town, she was Jody Hunter or Jody Harris. She had Erica and Zach Hunter were her kids, and Sienna Harris. So the select board would like to offer condolences to all their families and friends in their passing. And that's all I have.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Motion by David, second by Molly. Roll call vote.
Roll call vote, Phil,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Isaac.
Yes.
And Parsons.
Yes.